Before I start reading this, I noticed that there isn't much relating to characters and story. So, I'll be taking that from the Prince of Persia Warrior Thin Wiki. Characters. Prince. The prince is desperate to save himself from his fated death and travels to the island of time to prevent his end at the hands of the Dahaka. Shadi. The Empress's servant. Shadi tries to kill the prince before he can reach the island of time. I don't know how to put this, but the prince has a very strong description of her.
You bitch!
Kailina, a byproduct of the god's creation of time. The Empress of Time is the creator of the sands of time, also fated to die. She plots to kill the prince before he can kill her. Dahaka, the guardian of the timeline. The Dahaka seeks to kill the prince to restore the order disrupted by his survival following the recapture of the sands of time. Game interface. Weapon frame, life, power timer, sands of time slots. Life bar. Shows the prince's current state of health. Hard falls, enemy knocks and traps all cost the prince life. If your life bar reaches empty, it's game over, unless of course you undo the mishap by rewinding. Replenish the life bar by drinking water from a fountain or other sources. Sands of time slots. These show how much sand the prince has collected. Each rewind empties one sand slot. Each time you retrieve sand from enemies, it fills one slot. Power timer. Shows how much time is available to rewind. A full timer represents 8 seconds. Weapon frame. The weapon frame appears only when the prince picks up a secondary weapon. This frame shows the current state of the weapon. These weapons only sustain a certain number of hits before they break. Time powers. Thanks to the talisman Farah gave him at the end of the Sands of Time, the prince still has the ability to control time. To use the time powers, the prince needs to have sand in the medallion. He can refill sand slots by moving near the dead bodies of enemies. Each sand cloud will fill one sand slot. After a given number of hits, the enemies will enter a finishable mode where they start leaking the sand contained in their bodies. The prince can use any finishing attack at his disposal to kill them at this point. He can also continue to hit them with standard attacks, but it will take several hits to kill the enemies. When an enemy is finished, the sands of time are released from his body. The prince can move into the sand cloud and absorb it and gain additional sands for his time powers. Time travel. In some special places called warp rooms, the prince can use his time powers to travel in the timeline to the distant past or come back to the present. Laws of cause and effect can help him to progress in the present as he alters the past.
I found the right place, but at the wrong time. I'll need to return to the past if I want to activate this tower.
Recall. By using this power, the prince can rewind time to cancel any mistake or avoid any attack. After he has rewound, he can also redo the actions he missed. The power timer gauge displays how much time the prince can rewind in the past. Press and hold the L1 button to turn back time. When you reach safety, release the L1 button to resume play. Each rewind uses one time slot. Eye of the Storm. The prince is able to slow down time as he continues to move at the same speed. This allows him to defy traps better and to fight his enemies while they are slow and helpless. Tap L1 to use the Eye of the Storm attack during a fight. Breath of Fate. This power lets the prince perform a strong ground attack hurting several enemies simultaneously. Each use of this power consumes one sand slot. Press and hold L1 while blocking with R1. Wind of Fate. This power lets the prince perform a stronger ground attack, hurting several enemies simultaneously. Each use of this power consumes 2 sand slots. Requires more time to be ready than the Breath of Fate. Press and hold L1 while blocking with R1. Cyclone of Fate. This power lets the prince perform the strongest ground attack, hurting several enemies simultaneously. Each use of this power consumes 3 sand slots. Requires more time to re-ready than the Breath of Fate or Wind of Fate. Press and hold L1 while blocking with R1. Ravages of Time. The prince is able to perform a lightning attack that instantly kills most enemies. Each use of this power consumes 2 sand slots. Tap L1 while blocking with R1. Moves. Basic moves. By pressing the X button, the prince can auto-climb obstacles, perform rolls on the ground, and jump over deadly pits. When near a wall, he can also perform a vertical or horizontal wall run and rebound from the wall in the opposite direction. The prince can perform multiple rebounds to climb up between 2 walls. Environment. The prince can interact with all the elements around him. Ledges. Climb, drop, lean, and rebound. Ladders. Climb and rebound. Columns. Climb, rotate, and rebound. Poles. Lean, drop, swing, and rebound. Beams. Move, drop, and jump. Curtains. Slide down, rebound. Wall ropes. Climb, swing, rebound, and wall run. The prince can also perform attacks whilst on these elements. Mechanisms. The prince can also interact with mechanical elements around him. Boxes. Push and pull. Hanging levers. These levers activate the mechanisms. Pressure plates. By stepping on them, a mechanism will be activated for a short period of time. Pressure levers. These levers go down as the prince hangs on them and up again after he has dropped. Rotating levers. These levers offer several activation choices, depending on the direction in which they are pointing. Freeform fighting. As a master warrior, the prince is able to perform a great variety of advanced and deadly fighting techniques. He is now able to fight by taking advantage of the items around him in his environment. Ladders, pillars, walls, etc. Grab enemies, take their weapons, and throw them or use them as secondary weapons. The prince can use his superior agility to gain the upper hand against his enemies. For each action, a choice of several new actions is available to you so that you can create customizable combo chains throughout the fight to defeat your enemies, fighting in your own way. Manning. The prince is able to step on his enemies and jump over them. He can then grab them, attack them, or rebound into the air. Grabbing. When his left hand is free, the prince is able to grab his enemies and hold them. From this position, he can throw them, attack them, or rebound into the air. He can also use his enemies as human shields. Airing. While in the air, the prince can grab and attack his enemies. He can also rebound off walls to attack them with even more force. Combos. You can trigger several combos by entering the right button configuration. The prince is able to use a vast array of deadly weapons split into 4 main classes. Each class generates a different experience as they force the prince to fight with a different strategy. Each weapon can sustain a certain number of hits before it breaks, has a specific rate of attack, and inflicts a different amount of damage. Additionally, each class has one specific special attack. Here are the most common weapons the prince will be able to find during his journey. Primary weapons. Swords. Secondary weapons. Swords. Well balanced. Axes. Heavier damage, low speed. Maces. Grounding on strong attacks. Daggers. Short reach, high speed. The prince can find and use a huge number of secondary weapons during the game. They are all breakable and also have different attributes: strength, speed, and combo. You will have to find all of them to finish the game 100%. Special items. Sands of Time. The sand clouds allow the prince to use his time powers, rewind, slow down, and special time attacks. He can mainly find the sand clouds by killing the enemies, but it is also possible to find some in breakable objects. Water is life. Drinking water from a fountain or other sources will restore a wounded prince to health. Press and hold the R1 button to drink as much as you need until your life bar is fully replenished. Warp rooms. These rooms not only allow the prince to travel from the present to the past, and vice versa, but also allow him to gain new time powers and sand slots. Upgrade pedestals. The prince also gains life upgrades when he completes a special corridor full of traps. Breakable objects. Throughout the game, the prince will come across objects that he can destroy. In doing so, he may discover hidden rewards. Sand clouds. Each sand cloud will fill one of the prince's empty sand slots. Weapon racks. The prince can find new weapons. Artwork chests. These will unlock elements in the artwork gallery. Hints and tips. Don't forget to block. When fighting, press and hold the R1 button to protect the prince from most enemy blows. During combat, don't just stand in one place. Use the prince's acrobatic abilities to stay on the move and take advantage of his surroundings, walls, pillars, ladders, etc. Sword upgrades are available as you progress. Don't forget to rewind. Take advantage of slow motion to help you fight and avoid traps. Use the first person camera to look around and the landscape camera to get a big picture of where you are. Don't fight your enemies one by one. When surrounded by many enemies, a more effective tactic is to divide your attacks among them in quick succession, using the prince's superior agility to your advantage. Always remember to pick up dead enemies' weapons. Don't forget to break destructible objects. In doing so, you may discover special hidden rewards. Just a few things that I want to mention as I was busy reading that I picked up on. So they say that Farah gave the prince the medallion. I don't think she actually gave it to him. Also, thinking about the last cutscene, I think I saw that Farah still had it at the end of the first game. So I don't know where they got that from. Unless they are saying that when the prince did the big rewind, he still had the medallion. But then that means that there are two medallions. But I guess just based on what this manual is saying, Farah must have given it to him, or he must have taken it at some point. I find it interesting that they brought up the laws of cause and effect when talking about the warp rooms, just because of the way that they handle time travel in this game. So for weapons, I didn't know that each weapon actually has a special attack. I don't actually think I've explored the combat system that much to find out what that is, unless I did and I just don't know about it, or didn't know about it. I didn't know that axes have heavier damage, low speed, that maces actually ground your enemies on strong attacks, and that daggers actually have a shorter reach or high speed. All these stats are actually new to me, and I didn't know that collecting them all will get you 100%. So actually reading through this has shown me a lot that I wasn't aware of. The hints and tips seem like they're taken exactly from the first game. I find it interesting that they left out a lot about the story, which isn't actually like a bad thing, it's just weird, I think. But I think that also that kind of allows the player to just experience the story as they play the game, instead of telling you straight up what's going on. But I mean, the first book didn't do that either. It at least introduced you to the characters. They don't talk about the prince, but I feel like at the same time, why talk about a character of a game that you are already familiar with? I did kind of take a peek at the booklet for the third book, the third game, and I see they talk about the prince again, so my reasoning over there doesn't actually make sense. But it's just interesting that in the Warrior Within book, they don't talk much about story and characters. They kind of delve straight into the gameplay, which not a bad thing, it's just an interesting decision I think. I mean, I don't mind it because, again, it's not something that I was gonna go read through. It's not ruining my experience of the game. It's just an interesting observation, if I can put it like that. This game is actually one of my favorite games, so there's a bunch that I have to say about it, or that I want to say about it rather. I only realized during my recent playthrough that this game is more complex story-wise when looking at the time elements. Even with all of its issues that it has, I still enjoy it. Easier counter-attacking. Compared to the Sands of Time, Warrior Within has a much easier counter-attacking system. You'd simply have to wait for your swords to spark after an enemy's attack, then you just strike. Weapon abilities. Not only does this game feature different weapon types, which have a range from high to low damage or durability, some of them also have unique abilities. You would either figure this out by playing the game and paying attention to how they affect you, or read about them on a website or even in the game's guide. Identical ports. From what I can tell, the PC and PS2 ports are identical, no missing content or adjusted assets, besides for this one cutscene which I think works better on PC, just for the sake of musical continuity. Menacing traps. Compared to the Sands of Time, the traps are more menacing. The spikes are a bit more forgiving this time around, but everything else is ready to turn you into the past tense. Engaging combat. Combat in this game is much more engaging, by like a ridiculous amount. It's much more satisfying, challenging, and can be a bit overwhelming, especially when you look at the combos available to you, which can change depending on whether you have a secondary weapon or not. I think it also changes depending on the type of secondary weapon you have equipped. To some degree it feels like a fighting game because of how many combos you have available. I feel like I could get stuck talking about this element of the game for a long time, but I'd probably just end up repeating myself. But yeah, it's really good, and it's a system I haven't seen in many other games or tried to attempt or replicate even 20 years later. But that could also be because of the types of games I decide to play. War running is faster than running. If you are aware of this, then you know that this is a method of getting a sneaky early health upgrade. My thoughts. My favorite OST. Some fans of this franchise weren't too welcoming of this entry when it first arrived, but I remember being immediately drawn to the game's soundtrack. It's a big reason why I like rock and metal today. I feel that 2005's Need for Speed Most Wanted can also be held responsible for that. This game's soundtrack is definitely my favorite out of the franchise. Sands of Time comes in second. This is the strongest maneuver you have at your disposal. Most enemies can't block it. It's a guaranteed insta-kill on all enemies, except bosses. And it's very helpful when you accidentally decide to play the game on hard, causing every enemy to become a damage sponge. I've thrown so many enemies in my recent playthrough that I wanted to make a compilation about it, but my time management skills won't allow it. I also learned that throwing enemies in the direction of traps makes for some funny moments. Water tower first. I would advise that you tackle the water tower first. You won't have to deal with any giants there. By doing this, you receive the lion sword once you're done, making the giants in the mechanical tower a little easier to deal with, I think. I think the game handles the time loop element really well. It stays true to the don't meet yourself rule, but in a unique manner, by using the Mask of the Wraith. You even get those moments of realization when you come across yourself in the past. Backtracking. Over the years I've seen people complain about this game's backtracking. I don't think it's that bad, but this is coming from someone who's played the game multiple times and knows where the next objective is. So I understand if this critique is coming from someone who's getting lost and frustrated, but I still don't think it's as bad as people say. Okay, I'm going completely off script on this one. I was joking about the whole thing of my bad time management, but I think this video proved me right in some way. Yeah, I had so much time to actually get this done, but kept it for the last minute. But hey, it's done. I'm glad about that. But well, like I said in my previous video or previous book read, that I wanted to improve a lot when it came to the second one, or to this one instead. I definitely feel like I improved in some areas. Others, I do feel like I can still improve more. I definitely learned a lot doing this one, but this one was a lot more fun to make and a bit of a pain. I know this one was very clicky, too clicky for my liking, but like I said, I kept this for the last minute, so trying to go back and fix all of those, I wouldn't have been able to get this out in time. And I get that I'm kind of sacrificing quality for a schedule right now, but at the moment I do feel like if I at least stick to my schedule, it forces me to at least get the video done instead of I don't want to say wasting too much time on quality, because I do want to improve the quality, but right now I do need to focus on getting the content out. So yeah, I think all that's left is to say thank you for watching if you've made it this far, and hope to see you in the next one.